the Niners are fielding calls for Trey Lance. Multiple teams have inquired. Which team you think is most interested, most likely to pull this off?
I just can't stop thinking about the Houston Texans, to be honest. I know they got the top 2 pick, and CJ Stroud and Bryce Young's going to fall into their lap. But ever since I watched that D'Amico Ryan's press conference about him really kind of putting an emphasis, the opening head coaching press conference that he had over a month ago, or actually almost 2 months ago now, about like we don't need to be forced to go into that position to go for a quarterback at 2. He explained like we just need someone who can run the offense and be efficient. It's like, oh my God, this is Kyle Shanahan clone. So I think ever since D'Amico's press conference, that is what led me to start believing more in, wow, Kyle really just wants either just a homegrown guy that he could just say he's won with and developed himself, or just someone that could just be a plug and play, or someone that could salvage. That's why they probably would never go after Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson, even if they had the means to do so. So I think D'Amico Ryans and the Texans, that's where you can look at, let's just go after a primetime defensive player or a primetime offensive player, boost our team, and then we can always like bring in Trey or bring in some other guys, and then we can make it work. I think they're maybe not the top team, but I think they are definitely probably second or third that are going to be looking for Lance. Because they got the offense, Bobby Slowick, right?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to go with Minnesota, and I feel there's been some smoke there. There was reports that the Niners were inquiring about Kirk Cousins at the Combine because they didn't really know what was going on with Brock. Then there was a report today from Pro Football Talk that the inquiry was about trading Trey Lance for Kirk Cousins, essentially. So it seems like there's, obviously the Niners are interested in Kirk Cousins. Been for a long time. It was reported a couple months ago. It seems like the Vikings are interested in Trey Lance. Their general manager used to be with the 49ers. He left in 2019. He left in 2020. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. He was with this organization a long time. I'm sure he knows a lot of the scouts that pick Trey Lance and like Trey Lance. That's one too. And they're in the position in the draft where they can't take any of the top 4 quarterbacks. They have to decide, like, if they want to move on from Kirk Cousins, do you take Hendon Hooker and sit him for a year? That's possible. Or do you trade for Trey Lance? I can see why they'd be interested. Those are two teams: Minnesota, Houston.
Yeah, they're pretty much forced for a quarterback too, right? Because they're not. This is pretty much the last year of the Cousins deal, and those two have stalled out and are probably far away from any negotiation for an extension. So it's just most likely, I think, would be Cousins last year. So they're in the quarterback market. Yeah, I definitely could see them looking for Lance.
Any team that sort of has an older quarterback who has 1 year sort of left, Tennessee. You can see them doing it. I mean, they have that under center play action game with Ryan Tannehill. They could bring in Trey Lance, teach him the offense, put him on the field halfway through the year or right away. That's another team. Detroit with Goff. I don't know. I could see them do it. They like to run the ball. They have a really good offensive line.
Detroit is a team I mentioned, a sneaky team. Even though there's no relation, but it's dude, that'd be perfect. Keep him for another year. But it's if you're a team that's going to trade for Trey Lance, it's you kind of probably want to play him immediately. You don't want to put him another year under the table again.
Okay, I got a team for you there. So that's where Houston comes in. What about Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
He would just compete with Baker.
He probably would lose that in the camp just because.
Maybe.
I don't know, just because I think
Baker
they probably
sucks.
Or you know what? You know what would happen? They'd give Baker the start, but they'll pull the plug on Baker pretty quick if he messes up 6-7 games.
Yeah, there you go. And then get Trey Lance ready, and then he'll be the savior. Tampa.
That'd be perfect because then he's got Mike Evans, who's perfect for his type of game going downfield. He would just need to really work on with Godwin, just those getting those timings down and just the windows, because Godwin's great going across a little seam and crossing routes and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of teams on the table. I think there's even more sneakier teams if we really, really dug into it. I mean, could the Dolphins be a team to look around?
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know if they can afford it.
Look at it this way. If multiple teams are interested and they're all kind of offering the same thing, let's say they offer a day 3 pick this year, round 4, plus a conditional next year that could become a second round pick if he plays a lot. Well, then if that's the offer and it's similar from a lot of teams, I'm sending him to the team where he could play. That's not Detroit. It's not Minnesota. It's not Tennessee. It's either Houston or Tampa. Okay. If either one of those teams interested and they gave the deal, I'm sending him there because he could play there and you might get a comp pick. And the conditional pick would be tied to playing time, not performance. Playing time, not performance.
Yeah. Yeah, that performance
Yeah.
wouldn't make. I wouldn't even know what the contingency you would put
If
for
you send him to a
performance.
bad team, yeah, you don't want
I
to
was
do
about to
that.
say, and then send him to a bad team. Like it's like a team where he can play, and ideally a team that he could be bad at. That way, it's like you're gonna boost that pick anyways, and then it's like a double dip. It's like, okay, he played a lot. Boom, compensatory gets higher, and then the pick is already higher because the team sucked.